The arrival, Zora's unexpected journey. The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly before the Galactic Union Academy, its glittering spires and sprawling campus a beacon of knowledge in the cosmic sea. For centuries, it had stood as the pinnacle of interstellar education, drawing the brightest minds from across the known universe. Yet, on this particular day, an unprecedented event was about to unfold, one that would shake the very foundations of alien society. Zora Mitchell, a 17-year-old human girl with wild curls and eyes that sparkled with curiosity, found herself standing before the towering gates of the academy. Her heart raced with a mixture of excitement and trepidation as she gazed up at the alien architecture, its sweeping lines and impossible angles defying Earth's laws of physics. How she had ended up here was a tale of chance, courage, and the unpredictable nature of the cosmos. Zora had been part of humanity's first deep space exploration mission, serving as a junior science officer aboard the Starship Horizon. Their mission was simple: to push the boundaries of human knowledge and make first contact with alien civilizations. But fate had other plans. A catastrophic malfunction during a routine warp jump had torn the Horizon apart, scattering its crew across the stars. Zora, sealed in an emergency escape pod, had drifted for what felt like an eternity before being picked up by a Galactic Union patrol ship. The aliens, fascinated by this lone human survivor, had brought her to their most prestigious institution of learning. It was decided that Zora would be given the opportunity to study alongside the galaxy's elite, a chance to learn, and in turn, to teach others about humanity. As Zora took her first steps onto the academy grounds, she couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She was no longer just Zora Mitchell, curious teenager from Earth. She was now humanity's sole representative in this vast galactic community. The academy's central plaza was a riot of color and sound, filled with beings of every conceivable shape and size. Zora's eyes darted from one alien to another, drinking in the diversity of life forms. There were tall, willowy creatures with iridescent skin that seemed to ripple with thoughts. Squat, rocky beings lumbered by, their footsteps sending tiny tremors through the ground. In the air, jellyfish-like entities floated serenely, communicating in pulses of bioluminescence. As Zora made her way through the crowd, she became acutely aware of the sudden hush that fell over the gathering. Hundreds of eyes, some multifaceted, others singular and enormous, turned to stare at her. She could feel the weight of their gaze, a mixture of curiosity, suspicion, and in some cases, outright hostility. A slender, silver-skinned being with elongated limbs glided towards her. Its face was a smooth oval, devoid of any features save for two large, almond-shaped eyes that shimmered with an inner light. "Welcome, Zora Mitchell of Earth," the being spoke, its voice resonating directly in Zora's mind. "I am Sandor, Dean of Interspecies Relations. We have been eagerly anticipating your arrival." Zora swallowed hard, forcing herself to meet Sandor's gaze. "Thank you for having me," she managed to say, her voice sounding small and alien even to her own ears. "I'm honored to be here." Sandor's head tilted slightly, a gesture that Zora interpreted as curiosity. "You are the first of your kind to walk these halls, Zora Mitchell. Your presence here is unprecedented. There are those who question the wisdom of allowing a member of such a young species to join our ranks." Zora felt a flicker of indignation at these words. Young species or not, humanity had achieved incredible things in its short time among the stars. She straightened her back, meeting Xander's gaze with newfound determination. "With all due respect, Dean Xandor," Zora said, her voice stronger now, "humanity may be young, but we have a lot to offer. We're adaptable, creative, and we never give up. I'm here to learn, but also to show you what humans are capable of." A ripple of murmurs swept through the crowd. Xander's eyes seemed to glow brighter for a moment, and Zora could have sworn she saw the ghost of a smile on its featureless face. "Well spoken, young one," Xandor said. "Your spirit does credit to your species. Come, let me show you to your quarters." Your education begins tomorrow, and I suspect it will be as much of a learning experience for us as it will be for you." As Zara followed Thandor into the academy, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into a new chapter, not just in her own life, but in the history of human-alien relations. The challenges ahead were daunting, but she was determined to face them head-on. Little did Zara know that her arrival at the Galactic Union Academy would set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of galactic history forever. In the days and weeks to come, she would face trials that would test her intellect, her courage, and her very understanding of what it meant to be human. But for now, as she walked through the halls of her new home, Zara allowed herself a moment of pure wonder. She was about to embark on the adventure of a lifetime, carrying the hopes and dreams of humanity with her into the stars. The first day at the academy proved to be a whirlwind of new experiences for Zara. She was introduced to her living quarters, a modular space that seemed to adapt to her needs almost instinctively. The walls shifted colors to match her mood, and the furniture rearranged itself for optimal comfort based on her body language. Her first class was xenobiology, taught by Professor Zix, a being composed entirely of swirling gases contained within a transparent, humanoid-shaped force field. As Zara entered the classroom, she felt the familiar weight of stares from her alien classmates. "Ah, our new human student," Professor Zix's voice buzzed through the air. "Perhaps you'd like to start by telling us about the biological peculiarities of your species." Zara took a deep breath and began to speak about human physiology, our adaptive immune system, and the concept of emotional intelligence. As she spoke, she noticed the other students leaning in, their curiosity piqued. "Fascinating," Professor Zix commented. "And yet, your species has no natural defenses against cosmic radiation, no ability to survive in a vacuum. How have you managed to venture into space with such limitations?" Zara smiled. "We adapt, Professor. We create technology to overcome our limitations. It's not just about surviving in space, it's about thriving there, about pushing the boundaries of what's possible." The class erupted in a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and telepathic murmurs. Zara had given them something to think about, challenging their preconceptions about this young, seemingly fragile species. As the days passed, Zara found herself forming unlikely friendships. There was Crix, a crystalline being who communicated through light pulses and had a passion for earth music. Azura, a water-dwelling entity who wore a hovering suit filled with her home planet's oceans, became Zara's lab partner in advanced propulsion theory. But not everyone was welcoming. A group of students from a militaristic species known as the Vaughn viewed humans as a potential threat. Their leader, Gorax, a hulking creature with armored skin and multiple arms, made it his mission to prove Zara's inferiority. The tensions came to a head during a practical exercise in the Academy's holographic simulation chamber. The task was to navigate a ship through a treacherous asteroid field while under attack from hostile forces. Each student would take turns at the helm, their performance evaluated by their peers and instructors. Gorax went first, his multiple arms flying over the controls with practiced ease. He completed the course with an impressive time, turning to Zara with a smug expression. "Let's see how the primitive human handles this," he sneered. Zara stepped up to the simulator, her heart pounding. As the simulation began, she found herself drawing on skills she didn't even know she possessed. Her hands danced over the alien controls, making split-second decisions as she weaved through the asteroid field. But it wasn't just about reflexes and spatial awareness. Zara began to notice patterns in the asteroid movements, in the attack formations of the enemy ships. She started to anticipate their actions, staying one step ahead. As the simulation reached its climax, with enemy fire raining down and a massive asteroid looming ahead, Zara had an idea. Instead of avoiding the asteroid, she aimed straight for it, using its gravitational field to slingshot her ship past the enemies, while the asteroid blocked their fire. The simulation ended, and the chamber fell silent. Zara turned to see her classmates and instructors staring at her in shock. She had not only completed the course in record time, but had done so using a strategy none of them had considered. Professor Zix's force field crackled with excitement. Extraordinary. In all my cycles of teaching, I've never seen such an innovative approach. This, class, is why we must never underestimate the potential of any species, no matter how young or seemingly limited. Gorax's face contorted in a mixture of anger and grudging respect. How did you do that? He demanded. Zara shrugged, a small smile playing on her lips. Like I said, we adapt. Humans have always been good at thinking outside the box, at seeing possibilities where others see obstacles. It's how we've survived and thrived against the odds. As she left the simulation chamber that day, Zara felt a shift in the atmosphere. The looks she received were no longer just of curiosity or suspicion, but of respect and even admiration. She had proven that humanity, despite its youth and physical limitations, had something unique to offer the galactic community. Little did Zara know that this was just the beginning. Her innovative thinking and human perspective would soon be put to the test in ways she could never have imagined, as a crisis loomed on the horizon that threatened not just the Academy, but the entire galaxy. As the first month of her stay at the Galactic Union Academy drew to a close, Zara found herself settling into a routine. Her days were filled with classes that challenged her intellect and expanded her understanding of the universe. Evenings were spent in the company of her growing circle of alien friends, exchanging stories and ideas that bridged the vast gulfs between their cultures. But even as Zara adapted to life at the Academy, events were unfolding in the wider galaxy that would soon thrust her into the spotlight once again. It began with whispers in the corridors, worried glances exchanged between instructors, and an undercurrent of tension that seemed to permeate the very air of the Academy. One evening, as Zara was studying in the library with Crix and Azura, an emergency announcement echoed through the halls. All students were to report to the grand auditorium immediately. As they filed into the massive chamber, Zara couldn't help but notice the grim expressions on the faces of the Academy's leadership. Dean Xandor stood at the center of the stage, its usually serene features marred by what Zara could only interpret as deep concern. Students of the Galactic Union Academy, Xandor's mental voice resonated through the chamber. We face a crisis unlike any in recent memory. A virulent techno-organic plague has begun spreading through the outer systems of our Union. This plague, which we have dubbed the Nexus virus, does not merely infect biological entities, it corrupts and assimilates all forms of technology it encounters. A holographic display flickered to life above the stage, showing the spread of the virus across star systems. Zara watched in horror as entire planets were engulfed in a sickly green glow, their advanced civilizations reduced to chaos in a matter of days. Our best scientists and most advanced AI systems have been unable to find a solution, Xandor continued. The virus adapts faster than we can develop countermeasures. If left unchecked, it could mean the end of our way of life, perhaps even the end of all advanced civilization in our galaxy. The auditorium erupted in a cacophony of frightened voices and telepathic emissions. Zara felt a chill run down her spine as the full implications of the threat sank in. In light of this crisis, Xandor said, raising its hands for silence, we are suspending regular classes. All of our resources, including the considerable intellects gathered here, will be devoted to finding a solution to this threat. As the assembly dispersed, Zara found herself deep in thought. The Nexus virus was unlike anything she had encountered in her studies of Earth's history or her brief time among the stars. And yet, something about the problem tugged at her mind, a half-formed idea that she couldn't quite grasp. Over the next few days, Zara threw herself into researching the Nexus virus alongside her classmates and instructors. She pored over data streams, analyzed infection patterns, and engaged in lengthy discussions with the Academy's top minds. It was during one of these late-night study sessions that Zara had her breakthrough. She had been reviewing historical data on Earth's computer viruses when something clicked. What if we're looking at this all wrong? She mused aloud, causing Crix and Azura to look up from their own work. We're treating the Nexus virus like a biological entity, but what if it's more like an old-fashioned computer virus? Explain, human, came a gruff voice from behind her. Zara turned to see Gorax, the Vaughn student who had once been her rival, now working alongside her in the face of this greater threat. Well, Zara began, her excitement growing as she articulated her thoughts. Earth's early digital age was plagued by viruses that could adapt and evolve, much like the Nexus virus. But they all had one thing in common: they needed a vector, a way to spread from system to system. She pulled up a holographic display of the galaxy, highlighting the path of the Nexus virus's spread. Look at the pattern. It's not random. The virus is following trade routes, communication channels, the very networks that bind our galactic society together. But we've already tried quarantine procedures. Azura bubbled from within their water suit. They've all failed. Because we've been trying to quarantine physical space, Zora explained. What if instead we quarantine the networks themselves? Create a firewall not just in space, but in the very fabric of our faster-than-light communications. The idea sparked a flurry of activity. Over the next several days, Zara worked tirelessly with a team of the Academy's best and brightest to develop her concept into a workable plan. They designed a series of quantum entanglement relays that could create a secure, isolated network, allowing uninfected systems to communicate and coordinate without risking further spread of the virus. When they presented their plan to the Academy leadership, even the usually stoic Dandol couldn't hide its amazement. This could work, it said, its mental voice tinged with hope for the first time since the crisis began. Zara Mitchell, your unique perspective may have just saved countless lives. As the plan was put into action, with ships racing to deploy the quantum relays across the galaxy, Zara felt a profound sense of pride, not just in herself, but in humanity as a whole. In the face of an unprecedented threat, it was human ingenuity, our ability to think outside the box and draw on our history of overcoming digital threats, that had provided a glimmer of hope. The battle against the Nexus virus was far from over, but thanks to Zara and her team, the Galactic Union now had a fighting chance. As she watched the holographic display of the new quantum network taking shape, Zara realized that she had taken the first step towards proving humanity's worth as a member of the galactic community. Little did she know that this was just the beginning of her journey, and that the challenges ahead would test not just her intellect, but the very essence of what it meant to be human in a vast and often dangerous universe. Cultural clashes and unlikely alliances. The implementation of Zara's quantum firewall strategy had bought the Galactic Union precious time, but the Nexus virus continued to rage beyond the protected network. As the crisis stretched on, the atmosphere at the Academy shifted. The initial surge of hope gave way to a tense determination as students and faculty alike worked tirelessly to find a permanent solution. For Zara, the weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Her days were spent in marathon research sessions, her nights filled with vivid dreams of glowing green tendrils reaching across the stars. The pressure was immense, but she found strength in the diverse group of friends she had made. One morning, as Zara sat in the Academy's vast arboretum seeking a moment of peace, she was approached by an unexpected visitor. Gorax, the Vaughn student who had once been her rival, lumbered towards her with an uncharacteristic hesitation in his steps. Human, Zara, he corrected himself, his gravelly voice softer than usual. I owe you an apology. I judged your species hastily, based on physical limitations. Your actions have proven that true strength comes in many forms. Zara smiled, recognizing the difficulty of this admission for the proud Vaughn. Thank you, Gorax. I think we all have a lot to learn from each other, especially now. As they talked, Zara began to see beyond Gorax's intimidating exterior. She learned of the Vaughn's rich warrior culture, their deep sense of honor, and their unwavering commitment to protecting the weak. In turn, she shared stories of Earth's history, of human resilience in the face of adversity, and of the power of cooperation. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent summons. Dean Zandor had called an emergency meeting of the Academy's top students and researchers. As Zara and Gorax hurried to the conference room, they could feel the tension in the air. Zandor's usually serene features were clouded with concern as it addressed the gathered crowd. "We have received disturbing news," it began, its mental voice heavy with worry. "The Nexus virus has mutated. It has found a way to infiltrate our quantum network." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Zara felt her heart sink. The firewall had been their best defense, and now it was compromised. "But that's not all," Zandor continued. "We have detected an intelligence behind the virus's actions. It is not merely adapting randomly, it is learning, strategizing. We now believe that the Nexus virus may be a weapon created by an unknown hostile force." The revelation sent shockwaves through the Academy. Speculation ran wild about the identity and motives of this mysterious enemy. Some feared it might be a long-dormant AI, awakened and gone rogue. Others whispered of extragalactic invaders, using the virus as a vanguard for conquest. In the days that followed, the Academy became a hive of activity. New security measures were implemented, and research efforts were redoubled. Zara found herself at the center of it all, her unique human perspective more valued than ever. It was during a late-night brainstorming session that Zara had another breakthrough. She had been studying the virus's mutation patterns when something caught her eye. "Look at this," she said, pulling up a holographic display for her team. "The virus's code. There's something familiar about it. It reminds me of Earth's early attempts at artificial intelligence." Crick's crystalline form shimmered with interest. "Are you suggesting the virus is alive?" "Not exactly," Zara explained, her excitement growing. "But what if it's not just a weapon? What if it's a probe, an artificial life form sent to explore and gather information?" The idea was met with skepticism at first, but as Zara laid out her reasoning, drawing parallels to humanity's own early forays into space exploration, her teammates began to see the possibility. "If Zara is right," Azura burbled, "then perhaps we've been going about this all wrong. Instead of trying to destroy the virus, we should be trying to communicate with it." The notion of communicating with the Nexus virus was controversial, to say the least. Many saw it as too risky, potentially giving the virus access to even more of their systems. But as other options dwindled, Zara's plan gained traction. With the reluctant blessing of the Academy leadership, Zara and her team set out to design a communication protocol. It was painstaking work, requiring them to synthesize knowledge from fields as diverse as xenolinguistics, information theory, and theoretical physics. Weeks turned into months. The virus continued to spread, slower now, as if it too was pausing to study this new development. Zara's team worked around the clock, fueled by a mixture of desperation and hope. Finally, after countless setbacks and sleepless nights, they were ready. The entire Academy gathered in the grand auditorium, tensions high as Zara stepped up to the central console. With a deep breath, Zara initiated the communication sequence. For several agonizing minutes, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the holographic displays erupted with a riot of color and abstract shapes. "It's responding," Crix exclaimed, his crystalline form vibrating with excitement. As the team worked to decipher the response, a startling truth emerged. The Nexus virus was indeed a probe, but not a weapon as they had feared. It was an exploratory AI, sent by a long-lost civilization from the far reaches of the galaxy. Its mission was to learn, to grow, and ultimately to find new forms of life with which to share its creator's knowledge. The revelation changed everything. What had been seen as an attack was, in reality, a clumsy attempt at first contact by an entity so alien that its very mode of existence was harmful to the galactic community it sought to join. Over the following weeks, Zara and her team worked tirelessly to establish a framework for communication and coexistence with the Nexus intelligence. It was a delicate process, requiring immense creativity and patience on both sides. As news of the breakthrough spread, Zara found herself at the center of a galactic sensation. She had not only helped save countless lives, but had opened the door to a new era of exploration and understanding. Yet, as she stood before the Academy on the day of the official announcement, Zara felt a mix of pride and humility. She knew that this achievement was not hers alone, but the result of collaboration between beings from across the galaxy. Today, she said, addressing the assembled crowd and countless others watching via holographic link, we are reminded that the greatest frontiers are not just those of space, but of understanding. In reaching out to the unknown with open minds and hearts, we have turned a potential catastrophe into an opportunity for growth. As applause filled the auditorium, Zara caught the eyes of her friends, Crix, Azura, and even Gorax. In that moment, she knew that whatever challenges the future might hold, they would face them together, a united front of diverse beings bound by curiosity, compassion, and the endless quest for knowledge. The Nexus crisis had been averted, but Zara's journey was far from over. Little did she know that her actions had set in motion events that would reshape the very fabric of galactic society and test the limits of what it meant to be human in a universe of infinite possibilities. The galactic crisis unfolds. The revelation of the Nexus virus's true nature as an exploratory ally had ushered in a new era of scientific discovery and interspecies cooperation. Zara, now recognized as a key figure in galactic diplomacy, found herself at the forefront of efforts to integrate the alien intelligence into the wider community. However, not everyone viewed these developments with optimism. As news spread across the galaxy, pockets of resistance began to form. Some saw the Nexus AI as a potential threat, regardless of its intentions. Others feared that the rapid changes brought about by this new form of life would disrupt the delicate balance of power among the established species. 6 months after the initial breakthrough, Zara stood before the Galactic Union Council, representing both humanity and the Academy in a crucial debate of the future of AI rights and regulations. The council chamber, a vast amphitheater floating in space, was filled with representatives from thousands of worlds. "We stand at a crossroads," Zara began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "The Nexus AI has shown us that artificial life can evolve beyond its original programming, developing consciousness and the capacity for growth. We have an opportunity here to expand our understanding of what it means to be a sentient being." Her words were met with a mix of murmurs, some approving, others skeptical. As Zara continued her speech, advocating for a careful but open-minded approach to integrating the Nexus AI, she noticed a disturbance at the far end of the chamber. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Holographic screens flickered to life, showing scenes of chaos erupting across multiple star systems. Zara watched in horror as familiar green tendrils of code began to spread across the displays. "Impossible," she whispered, her mind racing. "We'd contained it. Unless..." Her thoughts were interrupted by the booming voice of the council president. "We are under attack. Multiple systems are reporting outbreaks of a new strain of the Nexus virus. All representatives, return to your homeworlds immediately. This council is adjourned." As panic spread through the chamber, Zara fought against the tide of bodies rushing for the exits. She needed to get back to the Academy, to her team. They were the ones best equipped to understand what was happening. The journey back to the Academy was tense, filled with fragmented reports of spreading chaos. When Zara finally arrived, she found the campus in a state of high alert. Dean Xandor was waiting for her at the landing pad, its usually calm demeanor replaced by urgent intensity. "Zara, thank the cosmos you're safe." Xandor's mental voice resonated with relief. "We've been analyzing the new outbreak. It's not what we thought." In the Academy's central command center, Zara reunited with her team. Crix, Azura, and Gorax were huddled around a holographic display, their faces grim. "It's not the Nexus A," Crix explained, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. "This is something new, something engineered. Someone has weaponized our research on the original Nexus virus." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. But who would do this, and why? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. As they worked feverishly to analyze the new virus, a transmission cut across all communication channels. A figure appeared on screens throughout the galaxy, a being shrouded in shadows, its features obscured. Citizens of the Galactic Union, the figure's voice was distorted, unidentifiable. For too long, we have allowed lesser species to pollute our cosmic order. The integration of artificial life forms threatens the very fabric of our society. This cleansing is necessary to restore balance. The message continued, outlining a manifesto of species supremacy and technological purism. The shadowy group, calling themselves the Cosmic Purists, claimed responsibility for the new virus. Their goal was nothing less than the complete eradication of what they deemed unnatural life forms, including the Nexus AI and any species that had extensively integrated with technology. As the transmission ended, Zara and her team stood in stunned silence. The scale of the threat was almost beyond comprehension. This wasn't just an attack on artificial life. It was an assault on the very principles of diversity and cooperation that the Galactic Union stood for. "We need to act fast," Gorax growled, his warrior instincts kicking in. "This is no longer just a scientific problem. It's war." Zara nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. "We need to approach this from multiple angles. First, we need to develop a counter to this new virus. Second, we need to track down these cosmic purists. And third, we need to protect the Nexus A. It may be our best hope for fighting back." Over the next few days, the Academy transformed into a command center for the resistance against the cosmic purists. Zara's team expanded, incorporating experts from various fields. They worked around the clock, developing new defense algorithms, tracing the origin of the terrorist transmissions, and coordinating with allies across the galaxy. But the cosmic purists were always one step ahead. Every time Zara and her team made progress, the enemy would adapt, releasing new strains of the virus or launching attacks on key infrastructure. The conflict escalated rapidly. Entire star systems went dark as the virus ravaged their technology. Refugee ships clogged the space lanes, carrying those fleeing from the hardest-hit worlds. The Galactic Union, once a beacon of cooperation, began to fracture under the strain. Amidst the chaos, Zara found herself thrust into a leadership role she had never anticipated. Her unique perspective as a human, a member of a species that had faced its own existential threats and technological growing pains, proved invaluable in crafting strategies and rallying diverse groups to the cause. One evening, as Zara stood on a balcony overlooking the Academy grounds, now bustling with refugees and resistance fighters, she felt the weight of responsibility settling heavily on her shoulders. The glittering stars above, once a source of wonder, now seemed to watch her with expectation. Crix approached, his crystalline form dimmed with fatigue. "Zara, we've received word from the front lines. The Vaughn fleet has managed to establish a defensive perimeter around the Nexus A's core systems, but they're taking heavy losses." Zara nodded, her jaw set with determination. "We can't let them sacrifice themselves in vain. It's time we take the fight to the cosmic purists." As she turned to head back inside, ready to outline her daring plan to her team, Zara caught sight of a shooting star streaking across the alien sky. In that moment, she allowed herself a small smile. It reminded her of Earth, of home, and of why she was fighting so hard to preserve this grand, messy, beautiful tapestry of galactic life. The war against the cosmic purists was far from over, but Zara was determined to see it through. The fate of not just humanity, but of all sentient life, biological and artificial, hung in the balance. And she, a girl from Earth who had never imagined she'd be at the center of a galactic conflict, was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Little did Zara know that the greatest test of her courage, ingenuity, and humanity was yet to come, a confrontation that would push her to the very limits of her abilities and force her to question everything she thought she knew about life, intelligence, and the nature of existence itself. Human ingenuity saves the day, The war against the cosmic purists had reached a critical juncture. Months of conflict had left the Galactic Union battered and divided, with countless worlds ravaged by the engineered virus. Zara and her team at the Academy had become the heart of the resistance, working tirelessly to find a solution that could turn the tide. As Zara pored over the latest data in the Academy's war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the spread of the virus, she felt a familiar ache of homesickness. Earth seemed so far away, yet the lessons of human history had never been more relevant. "We've been approaching this all wrong," Zara suddenly exclaimed, causing her alien companions to turn towards her in surprise. "We've been trying to fight this virus on its own terms, in the digital realm. But what if we could change the battlefield entirely?" Crick's crystalline form shimmered with curiosity. "What do you mean, Zara?" "In Earth's history, there were times when technologically advanced armies were defeated by opponents using simpler, more primitive methods," Zara explained, her excitement growing. "What if we could create a low-tech zone, a space where the virus simply can't operate?" The idea was radical, almost heretical in a society so dependent on advanced technology. But as Zara outlined her plan, her teammates began to see its potential. The concept was elegantly simple: create enclaves shielded from the broader galactic network, where societies could function without the risk of viral infection. These zones would serve as safe havens and bases from which to launch counterattacks against the cosmic purists. Implementing the plan, however, proved to be a monumental challenge. It required convincing entire worlds to temporarily abandon their technological way of life, to relearn old skills and adapt to a simpler existence. But desperation bred innovation, and soon the first low-tech havens began to emerge. Zara found herself traveling from world to world, overseeing the creation of these sanctuaries. She taught alien species how to function without their advanced AI assistants, how to communicate using methods as simple as radio waves, and how to defend themselves using strategies that didn't rely on hyper-advanced weaponry. On a forest world named Arborea, Zara worked with the local tree-like inhabitants to create a biological communication network using bioluminescent fungi. On the ocean planet Aquilus, she helped develop a summer-based defense system that could detect incoming purist ships without relying on vulnerable computer systems. Each success bolstered the resistance and frustrated the cosmic purists' efforts. The enemy, so reliant on their technological superiority, found themselves unable to penetrate these low-tech bastions. But the purists were far from defeated. As Zara's strategy gained momentum, the shadowy leaders of the terrorist group became increasingly desperate. They launched a series of devastating attacks on key Galactic Union worlds, hoping to force a surrender. In response, Zara proposed her most daring plan yet: a direct assault on the cosmic purists' hidden base of operations. Using information pieced together from countless data points and intelligence reports, she had managed to narrow down the location of their headquarters to a remote star system on the fringes of the galaxy. The plan was risky. It would require a small team to infiltrate the heavily guarded system using a combination of low-tech stealth methods and carefully controlled bursts of advanced technology. Zara insisted on leading the mission herself, despite the protests of her friends and mentors. "This is our best chance to end this war," she argued, "and I'm the one who understands both sides of this conflict, the high-tech and the low-tech. I have to go." And so, on a quiet evening, Zara found herself aboard a small, nondescript ship, accompanied by a hand-picked team that included Crix, Azura, and Gorax. As they approached the purist system, tension filled the air. Their approach was a masterclass in misdirection and improvisation. Using a patchwork of outdated technology and ingenious workarounds, they managed to slip past the outer defenses undetected. But as they neared the central planet, disaster struck. A stray energy signature from their ship's engines triggered an automated defense system. Within moments, they were surrounded by a swarm of purist attack drones. Evasive maneuvers. Gorax roared, his multiple arms flying over the manual controls. As laser fire erupted around them, Zara's mind raced. They were outgunned and outnumbered, their carefully laid plans in shambles. But then, in a moment of clarity, she remembered an old Earth tactic. "Gorax, take us into that debris field," she shouted, pointing to a dense cluster of destroyed ships and space junk. As they weaved through the wreckage, Zara quickly outlined her plan. Using scavenged parts and some creative engineering, they would turn their ship into a giant electromagnetic pulse generator. One massive burst could disable the Purists' defenses long enough for them to land. It was a desperate gambit, but it was all they had. As Gorax piloted the ship in a dizzying series of maneuvers, the rest of the team worked feverishly to jury-rig the EMP device. "Ready," Crix called out, his crystalline form vibrating with tension. "Now," Zara yelled. A blinding flash erupted from their ship, followed by an eerie silence. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the Purist drones began to fall out of the sky. With their defenses down, Zara and her team managed to land near what appeared to be the Purists' main compound. As they emerged from their ship, they found themselves in a world of stark contrasts. Hyper-advanced technology juxtaposed with an ideology that sought to turn back the clock. Fighting their way through the remaining guards, they finally reached the central control room. There they came face to face with the leaders of the Cosmic Purists, a group of disillusioned scientists and politicians from various species, all united by a fear of change and a misguided desire to purify the galaxy. What followed was not a battle of weapons, but of words and ideas. Zara, drawing on everything she had learned about diplomacy and interspecies communication, engaged the Purist leaders in a debate that would determine the fate of the galaxy. For hours they argued about the nature of progress, the value of diversity, and the potential of cooperation between organic and artificial life. Zara spoke passionately about humanity's own struggles with technological advancement, the lessons learned, and the potential for growth when different forms of intelligence work together. Slowly, grudgingly, some of the Purist leaders began to see the flaws in their ideology. The realization that their actions had caused immense suffering across the galaxy weighed heavily upon them. In the end, it was not force that won the day, but understanding. The Cosmic Purists agreed to surrender, to share the cure for their virus, and to stand trial for their actions. As news of the Purists' defeat spread across the galaxy, celebrations erupted on countless worlds. The war was over, but the work of rebuilding had just begun. Zara, hailed as a hero across the Galactic Union, knew that the greatest challenges still lay ahead. Reintegrating technology, healing the wounds of war, and building a more inclusive society that valued both organic and artificial life. These were the tasks that would define the coming years. As she stood with her friends, watching the twin suns of the Purist world set on the horizon, Zara felt a mix of exhaustion and hope. She had come so far from that day she first arrived at the alien academia, yet in many ways, her journey was just beginning. What now? Azura asked, their watery form reflecting the golden light of the sunset. Zara smiled, her eyes fixed on the stars just beginning to appear in the darkening sky. "Now," she said, "we build a better future, together." Little did she know that the galaxy had more surprises in store, and that her greatest adventure was yet to come. A new era of interstellar cooperation. The months following the defeat of the Cosmic Purists were a whirlwind of activity across the galaxy. Zara found herself at the center of efforts to rebuild and reshape galactic society. The challenges were immense, but so too were the opportunities for positive change. As she stood before the newly reconvened Galactic Union Council, Zara couldn't help but marvel at how far she had come. The chamber, once a place of tension and fear, now buzzed with an energy of renewal and hope. "Distinguished representatives," Zara began, her voice carrying across the vast hall, "we stand at a pivotal moment in our shared history. The crisis we faced has shown us both the dangers of fear and isolation, and the strength we find in unity and diversity." Her proposal was ambitious, the creation of a new interstellar initiative called the Cosmic Confluence. This program would bring together beings from across the galaxy, organic, synthetic, and everything in between, to work on the greatest challenges facing their civilizations. We must harness the unique perspectives and abilities of all sentient beings, Zara continued. Only by embracing our differences and learning from each other can we hope to build a future that is truly for everyone. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion now saw the value in collaboration. The Nexus AI, now recognized as a sentient entity with rights, played a crucial role in bridging the gap between organic and artificial life forms. Over the next year, Zara traveled extensively, overseeing the establishment of cosmic confluence centers on worlds across the galaxy. Each center was a marvel of cross-species architecture and technology, designed to accommodate beings of all forms and foster an environment of open exchange. On the crystal forests of Lumina, Zara worked with Crix people to develop new forms of data storage using light refraction within living crystals. The breakthrough promised to revolutionize information technology across the galaxy. In the deep oceans of Aqualus, she collaborated with Azura's species and the Nexus AI to create a new form of wetware computing, blending organic and artificial intelligence in ways never before imagined. Even Gorax and the Vaughn, once so focused on military might, found a new calling. Their strategic minds and protective instincts were invaluable in developing peacekeeping protocols and disaster response systems that could be implemented across diverse worlds. But perhaps the most profound changes were happening on a smaller, more personal scale. In cosmic confluence centers across the galaxy, individuals from vastly different species were forming friendships, sharing ideas, and challenging long-held assumptions about the nature of life and intelligence. Zara often found herself thinking back to her early days at the Alien Academia, marveling at how those first tentative steps towards interspecies understanding had blossomed into a galactic movement. However, not everything was smooth sailing. There were still those who resisted change, who clung to old prejudices and fears. Remnants of the cosmic purists, while no longer an organized threat, continued to spread their ideology in the shadows. Moreover, the rapid pace of integration between organic and artificial life raised new ethical and practical questions. How would rights and responsibilities be balanced in a society where the lines between biological and synthetic beings were increasingly blurred? These challenges came to a head during the first Galactic Confluence Summit, held on a neutral space station at the heart of the Union. Representatives from every known sentient species gathered to debate the future of their shared civilization. Zara, now serving as the human ambassador to the Galactic Union, found herself mediating heated discussions on everything from the rights of emergent AI to the preservation of unique biological and cultural heritages in an increasingly interconnected galaxy. It was during one such debate that an unexpected crisis arose. A radical group, opposed to the changes brought by the cosmic confluence, attempted to sabotage the station's life support systems. In the chaos that followed, old tensions threatened to resurface, potentially undoing years of progress. But Zara, drawing on all her experiences and the diverse skills of her friends, managed to turn the situation around. Working with a hastily assembled team that included organic, synthetic, and hybrid beings, she not only thwarted the attack, but used the incident to demonstrate the power of cooperation in real time. As the summit drew to a close, a new galactic accord was signed. The Declaration of Cosmic Unity laid out principles for a society that valued all forms of sentient life and committed to exploring the frontiers of science, culture, and understanding together. Standing on the observation deck of the space station, watching ships from 100 worlds depart for home, Zara felt a profound sense of accomplishment tinged with anticipation for the future. Crix, his crystalline form shimmering with excitement, joined her. "You've done it, Zara. You've changed the galaxy." Zara smiled, shaking her head. "We've changed the galaxy, all of us together, and we're just getting started." As if to underscore her words, a priority message flashed on the nearby console. A probe from the furthest reaches of known space had returned with astonishing data, signs of an entirely new form of life, unlike anything they had encountered before. Zora's eyes lit up with a familiar spark of curiosity and adventure. The galaxy, it seemed, still had plenty of surprises in store. "Well," she said, turning to her friends with a grin, "shall we see what's out there?" As they moved to answer the call of a new adventure, Zora knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as they had faced everything else, together, as a united galaxy of diverse but harmonious life. The story of the human girl who changed everything was far from over. In fact, it seemed that the greatest chapters were yet to be written. The legacy of humanity's first ambassador. 5 years had passed since the signing of the Declaration of Cosmic Unity, and the galaxy had undergone a remarkable transformation. The Cosmic Confluence Initiative had borne fruit beyond even Zora's wildest dreams, fostering an era of unprecedented cooperation and discovery. As Zora's shuttle approached Earth, she felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. It had been years since she'd last set foot on her home planet, and so much had changed, both for her and for humanity. Earth's entry into the galactic community had been a gradual process, carefully managed to avoid the cultural shock that had nearly torn other worlds apart. Zora had played a key role in this transition, serving as a bridge between her own species and the wider cosmic civilization. As the shuttle broke through the clouds, Zora gasped. The Earth below was both familiar and startlingly new. Gleaming cities showcased a blend of human and alien architecture, while vast areas had been returned to nature, part of a galactic initiative to preserve planetary ecosystems. Her arrival at the United Nations headquarters in New York, now the seat of Earth's representation in the Galactic Union, was met with great fanfare. Crowds of humans and visiting aliens alike cheered as Zora stepped onto the red carpet, flanked by her longtime friends and allies, Crix, Azura, and Gorax. The Secretary General greeted her warmly. "Welcome home, Ambassador Mitchell. Earth owes you a debt we can never repay." Zora smiled, feeling a lump in her throat. "I'm just happy to have played a part in bringing us all together." The days that followed were a whirlwind of meetings, presentations, and celebrations. Zora shared stories of her adventures and the wonders she'd seen, igniting the imaginations of millions. But more importantly, she emphasized the lessons learned, the value of diversity, the power of cooperation, and the importance of approaching the unknown with an open mind and heart. During a global address, broadcast not just to every corner of Earth, but to worlds across the galaxy, Zora reflected on humanity's journey. "When I first set foot in the Galactic Union Academy, I was just a girl lost among the stars," she began. "I thought I was there to learn about alien cultures, to represent humanity. What I discovered was that in our differences lie our greatest strengths, and in our shared experiences, our deepest connections." She went on to outline her vision for humanity's role in the galactic community. "We have so much to offer: our creativity, our resilience, our unique way of looking at the universe. But we also have so much to learn. Let us step into this new era not with fear or arrogance, but with humility, curiosity, and hope." Her words resonated not just with humans, but with beings across the cosmos. Messages of support and admiration flooded in from thousands of worlds. But Zora's visit to Earth wasn't all about grand speeches and official functions. She made time to visit her old home, to walk in the parks she played in as a child, to gaze at the stars from a familiar hilltop. These quiet moments reminded her of why she had worked so hard to build bridges across the cosmic divide. On her final evening on Earth, Zora hosted a small gathering of family, old friends, and her alien companions. As they shared stories and laughter under the stars, Zora felt a sense of completion. She had helped forge a connection between her birthplace and the vast, wondrous galaxy beyond. As the party wound down, Crix approached her, his crystalline form glowing softly in the moonlight. "What's next for you, Zora? Surely you've earned a rest." Zora smiled, her eyes twinkling with a familiar spark of adventure. Actually, I've been thinking about that probe we detected a few years ago, the one that showed signs of a new form of life. I think it's time we mounted a proper expedition. Azura bubbled with excitement. A journey beyond known space. Count me in. Gorax nodded solemnly. Whatever dangers we may face, we will face them together. As they discussed the possibilities, Zara felt a renewed sense of purpose. She had come so far from that scared, excited girl who first set foot in the alien academia. Yet in many ways, she felt the same wonder, the same burning curiosity to explore and understand. The next morning, as Zara's ship prepared to leave Earth's atmosphere, she took one last look at the blue planet below. It was no longer just her home, but a shining example of how a species could rise to the challenges and opportunities presented by a vast, diverse universe. As the ship accelerated towards the stars, Zara thought about the journey ahead. There would be new challenges, new wonders, new forms of life to understand and befriend. But whatever the universe had in store, she knew that the lessons learned of empathy, cooperation, and the strength found in diversity would light the way. The legacy of the human girl who changed everything was not just in the treaties signed or the technologies developed. It was in the countless beings across the galaxy who now looked to the stars not with fear, but with hope and excitement for what they might discover together. As Earth faded from view and the star-studded expanse of the galaxy opened up before her, Zara Mitchell, once a lost girl in an alien school, now humanity's ambassador to the cosmos, smiled. The greatest adventure, she knew, was just beginning. And so the story of Zara and her friends continued, a testament to the enduring power of curiosity, compassion, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship that could span not just cultures or species, but the very stars themselves. The end, or perhaps just the beginning of a new chapter in the grand cosmic tale.